So it's all about routine. Every morning I come out into the garden. That's the start of my day after I've taken my heart rate variability. So I like to keep a track of that. So why am I talking about routine? Well, because routine is the most important thing really to become fit. To become a good endurance athlete. The elite athletes have a really what most people might call boring routine, and it's that sacrifice that they make to the sport that makes the difference. Obviously we can't all train like that, because most of us have to go to work, make a living. We might have family, we might have other social commitments that we need to meet, but we can do certain things to create a routine, and that will make training more effective. And it's these sort of things that we're going to talk about in the YouTube a bit more frequently, because I think these are the sort of things that can make a difference. And perhaps if we talk about these things and maybe exchange some ideas, then they're the things that are going to make the difference to your fitness. So how can you make your routine better? So routine, well, you're going to have a daily routine, weekly routine. People often have a 3-week or 4-week cycle. But the most important things to focus on are your daily routine and your weekly routine. And if you get those right, then you're on a good route to success. Even if you don't have a training plan, if you've got a weekly routine, you can work to that and build your fitness. So I've found various things would make this thing work, routine. So your daily routine, if you get up at the same time, you start to try and fix things in place as best you can. So you might always get up at the same time, and then you can create a routine around that between maybe now then and work. Like me, I get up at 5 or 5:30, and therefore I've got this fixed window of opportunity to do my training or do other things or whatever I choose to do. And then you might have your work, you might not be able to do anything during your work period, and then you get home or leave work, and then you've got this period, and then bed. So that gives you your daily routine, and weekly you've got certain things you can do on certain days, and that might develop then your weekly routine. And when I lived in Edinburgh, sorry, and this is perhaps a bit of an anecdote, but when I lived in Edinburgh, I had a friend called John Sherburn, and when he left Edinburgh, he dumped, among other things, he dumped a pile of training diaries on a doorstep. I'd lived with a chap called Phil Mulberry, who's probably for a short period of time, one of the best distance runners in Britain, in Scotland. He won the short race at Durham, the New Year's short race at Durham one year. Anyway, I, for some reason, assumed, these are my training diaries, by the way, and from the distant past, I'd assumed that these training diaries were John Graham's, but they didn't really make sense, and I read some of them, and they were pretty inspiring. What I found amazing was that this athlete, I won't say who he was, but I mean, he went to the Olympics, but partly because I don't know him personally. What he did is he rode at the beginning of each year, so in the first, you got here's YMCA training diary 1988-89, and he'd sort of write objectives at the start. Unlike my objectives, certainly at that time, and possibly even to a lesser extent now, is that he achieved a lot of his objectives, which is pretty good. So how did he do that? Well, basically he was committed and consistent, and he didn't do anything magic. He had some talent, because you can't really compete at that level without any talent, but he just trained consistently. He made the few small changes he'd planned to do from the previous year. He didn't make many, and so he was just stepping up his training gradually over time, got fitter and fitter, and achieved his goals, and ultimately went to the Olympics. I don't think he won a medal, but even getting there was pretty amazing. It's really this consistency, and that's been a theme that I've observed with other athletes at the elite level and very highest levels that I've worked with.